I would suggest it because it's technically a different panel.
Okay.
So it just needs to be done in public hearing. We're live. Welcome to this licensing application for St Peter's Square, York Place, Brighton, Bravo November 1 for Golf Uniform. Before we start, could I ask the councillors just to elect a chair amongst themselves, please?
I nominate Councillor Pickett.
I second Councillor Pickett.
Councillor Pickett, you are the chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Councillor Pickett. Just to go through, are there any declarations of substitutes? I think not. And any declarations of interest? No. There are no non-public items on this agenda, therefore we will not be excluding the press and public for any item today. We are being webcast, so everything is in open session. This is an application for a new premises licence for the St Peter's Square, York Place. Before we begin, I don't think we need to ask for introductions again, do we? Can we just go straight ahead?
We can just proceed with the substantial business, I would suggest.
Okay. Sorry, Rebecca, you have a question?
So, well, aren't there new people here? I think we maybe just quickly, or there are new.
I think the
only two are Sarah and Fred. Okay, could we have
just those
Sarah?
two,
Could
then,
you introduce yourself?
Hello, so I'm Sarah Connell and I'm the licensing officer for this application. And sorry, just to say, Maya, you're observing this panel. Yeah. Thank you.
And Fred, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Fred Cornaby and I live on Ashton Rise. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will now hand over to the licensing officer, Sarah Connell, to introduce the application. Thank you.
Thank you. So this hearing is for an application for a new premises licence for St Peter's Square for open space with a mix of hard standing and grass. The hours applied for regulated entertainment are Sunday to Wednesday, 10 until 10:30 p.m. and Thursday to Saturday, 10 until 11 p.m. And the supply of alcohol is Sunday to Wednesday, 10 until 10 p.m. and Thursday to Saturday, 10 until 10:30 p.m. on and off the premises. But just to say that the off the premises is the same as the St Peter's North with the market conditions stipulation. There are no seasonal hours being applied for this application. For information purposes, there is a premises licence already in force that incorporates the area being applied for here. This can be found from page 41 of the agenda, and I will leave it to the applicant to explain the application in more detail. Part M of the application and applicant's proposed conditions are detailed at Appendix A from page 33, and the plan of the premises is attached at Appendix B, page 39 of the agenda today. 4 representations were received. They were received from local residents, and representations had concerns relating to the prevention of public nuisance. Full details of the representations are attached at Appendix D from page 53, and additional conditions were agreed between Environmental Protection and the applicant, and these can be found in Appendix E from page 57. A map detailing the location of the area is attached at page 59. The application for this licence was made when our 2021 Statement of Licensing Policy was in force, and therefore had regard to that policy. On the 5th of January 26, a new 5-year Statement of Licensing Policy came into force. This policy forms the basis of the papers today and is what the panel must have regard to when reaching their decision on this application. So the premises is situated within the Licensing Authority's city safety area as defined in our Statement of Licensing Policy and page 9 of the agenda. The panel will also be aware that the Statement of Licensing Policy includes a matrix approach to licensing decisions, which can be found on page 13 of today's agenda. This includes a table with provisions for a terminal hour for licensed activities for different classes of licensed premises in a particular area, recognising the diverse operations and different risks presented by those premises. And it is important for the panel to take into account that each application must be considered on its own merits. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Do members of the panel have any questions for Sarah? No. Do any of the residents have any questions for Sarah?
No, thank you.
No. Does the applicant have any questions?
No questions. Yeah.
Thank you. In that case, Fred, would you like to give your representation?
Yeah, I've actually written a statement which I'd like to read in full, if I may, and I'm also representing someone that couldn't be here today, which is Mr. Terry. He also put an objection in, and I was told I would receive an invite to represent him. That was never sent to him, so it's just lucky that I was already representing myself today. So I just wanted to say that there was a failure in that process.
I think because, sorry, just to say, I think because we knew that you had already accepted the invitation, had been sent the invitation,
Yeah,
that we acknowledged, I did acknowledge Terry's email and say that we would be happy for you to represent him because
Yeah,
you'd already been.
which he did share with me, but it also said that I would get an invite. I know you say I was here, but for his purpose, he didn't think that process happened. So when we're looking at sort of transparency and how we do things, it would have been nice that he would have received confirmation that I would get that email, but I didn't on his behalf. That's all. That's fine. So
Apologies.
Technicality, but it's absolutely fine. Okay, I'm not here today to say that we should not have events in open spaces. We just need the right ones in the right places that do not breach the 4 objectives as set out in the Licensing Act. I recognise that the council did their absolute minimum as set out by the legislation when applying for the premises licence at St Peter's Square. I also note that at a recent meeting, councillors, or a councillor in particular, said that she was not allowed to share with her constituents that this planning application was taking place because it breaches GDPR, but clear guidance in GDPR Article 6.1e clearly states otherwise, that as councillors, you can share with your constituents when things like this are happening. And now my other one, which I know Ian's already covered, why did we wait to the busiest time of year to take this application out? I certainly wasn't looking at lampposts over Christmas. I've looked back when we had our last meeting, which was, I think, the 28th of October, and it still took until the end of December to get that out, when I think even the previous meeting before that, we knew that we were going to, it was suggested that we pull the one licence fits all. So I'm still disappointed that this happened over the busiest time of year for people not to see those notices strapped to lampposts. I want to say this was a premeditated decision to not openly engage and consult with residents, and I suggest this with confidence, as I was at the last 2 meetings where 40+ residents were in attendance, and the feeling in the room was of absolute disgust in the way this application was applied for, and for the obvious lack of communication from councillors. Every one of those people at the meeting would have been an objection, but it was too late. I'd like to go on about the licence application itself. It states that when amplified loud music is used, you're required to leaflet drop to homes. And I know Ian's already said that that's going to happen this year, and we've talked about notice boards, but I want to say in the past 2 years, leaflets have not been dropped to homes, never been dropped to homes. And I don't just talk from my block, I talk from other blocks and other people in the area. I've even suggested that you feel that we don't live close enough to be impacted, which is also a bit neglect on your part as a council, that you don't understand how noise travels and impacts with buildings 100+, 200 meters high that act as a soundboard, and all you get is thump, thump, thump. Firework night, we don't just get one bang when a firework goes off, we get multiple bangs, because that's how noise and sound waves affects buildings. So by the lack of being considered is an indication that the council don't have a handle on how noise travels. And I also want to say that at one of the meetings, Spiegel Gardens had suggested, when they were on Victoria Gardens North, that they had leaflet dropped, and they actually hadn't, and it was identified that they hadn't at that meeting. So this was just another lie, and it was just something else, just to a lip service within a meeting. It also states in 8.1.2 relating to amplified music that noise emanating from within the licensed premises should not normally be audible outside. Just putting that into context, what do we mean by the word normally and should, and of the word outside, considering these events are intense outside? So exactly where does the outside start of an outside event? In a bricks and mortar premises, you can gauge where your boundaries are to know where the outside is, but this is already an outside event. 8.13 regarding sound limiting equipment and 8.14 in regard of early closing. I know the early closing might not affect us because our times are reduced. But there's words in there such as maybe and should. These words are open to misinterpretation, where will be and will have are clear and defined. Is this intentionally to confuse and allow the license to be interpreted to suit the event? There's mixed messages on whether the council can act against itself for any breach of the license. Then this in effect puts them as judge and jury, which isn't a good place to be. The council held the retracted license where numerous breaches took place over the years and absolutely no action was taken against the organisers. And I'd just like you to ask yourselves why you think that was, and why would you want us to believe that anything would be different this year? We've been told over and over again that these events support local businesses, but in fact, they draw people away from the bricks and mortar businesses such as pubs and food outlets. So I struggle why this constant narrative is always used. The effects on me, and I speak for my partner as well, under the prevention of public nuisance, the constant heavy bass against our windows that cause them to vibrate. We're unable to open our windows, double glazed as they are, for 12 hours a day, unable to enjoy our balcony and outside space. Our TV is so loud that it causes nuisance to our neighbours within a block, because again, noise travels within the block. Yeah, sleep deprivation, having the pleasure of our home ruined by inconsiderate events hosted by the council, no respite from relentless loud music and the bass. During Fan Zone and Spiegel Gardens, we had to leave our home many times just to get a stress-free evening and a good night's sleep. Since the council had decided to change the gardens at the end of our road and to make it an outdoor arena, I now live with heightened anxiety, knowing that my life will be impacted at any time for a pop-up event, but in particular during Fringe, and knowing I've been constantly lied to over the years only impacts my well-being further. I've been told that 3-metre high fences will keep the sound in and stop it getting out. I've been told that pointing speakers north and south will stop the sound going east and west. Believe it or not, these statements were made by experts in their field. I've been publicly belittled in council meetings as being someone of a small group complaining and ruining it for others. People don't know how to complain or where to complain, and it's certainly not through information through leaflet drops. There's vulnerable households, those households that are housebound with no means of escape and respite. Council tenants fear that if they complain, they will get labelled and it can jeopardise their tenancy. I've been told by a councillor that I'm someone with sensitive hearing and it's the reason I complain. That I was to complete 2 weeks diary sheets on every event, that before environmental health would investigate, that people pay money to see these events, and if the amplified music is turned down, they won't get any enjoyment. I have, and you can sat here now, I have accused the events manager of deflective behaviour, and while being economical with the truth, and together with environmental health, we'll do whatever it takes to get these events to the finishing line. And then communication from both those teams will go quiet with me. This isn't the behaviour of an open and honest and transparent council that claims to engage with residents to openly listen and genuinely learn from their mistakes. If it was, we wouldn't be repeating Caravanserai and Spiegel Gardens in a residential area, yet here we are again. You want me to believe that things will be different this year and accept your assurances, but I'm sorry, I've been told that so many times. Given that these events have already been advertised before the licence application was approved, is today just a tick box exercise, and will my voice actually count? And I want to leave you with this one closing statement. St Peter's Square, St Peter's North and Victoria Gardens sits within a heavily populated residential area, only metres away from homes. It's built up high to the east and west and located within the city's safety area. We've had a near miss from a gas explosion, temporary toilets pumping raw sewerage onto the streets, and had the area around the church along with residential front gardens being used as toilets. This alone breaks all 4 objectives. That's me done, thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Maya, I don't know if you intend to also speak. I know you spoke earlier. Do you have... No? Okay, thank you. Rebecca.
No, sorry, I just was going to say that she wouldn't be able to speak on this application because she. So.
Thank you. In that case, does the panel have any questions for Fred?
Yeah. Yes, Fred, could you tell who was the councillor who said that she wasn't allowed to speak about planning applications? Because that's not true.
Councillor Birgit Miller. She
She
didn't
got-
say it
well-
once. She didn't say it once. She said it twice through the meeting that we're
No, she
not
couldn't-
allowed. She couldn't share information with her constituents because it's not for the purpose that she holds their emails for. Which is why no councillors,
sorry,
no
can I
board
just-
councillors. Yeah,
Can I
go on.
just say that anything to do with planning applications is public record and you can look it up. I don't know, Ian might be able to tell us when the application was made because I just checked.
Julie, I assume
Yeah.
though what Birgit was probably saying is that she couldn't send information out as a councillor to
Yes,
her residents
possibly.
about this because obviously we're not allowed to do that. We can only respond to
Point, yeah.
residents. So I assume that was
Or-
the.
Or
But you can.
signpost them. Or
No, you
signpost
can.
them.
You
Sorry,
can.
or
I'm
signpost
sorry.
them in the way. I mean, we could send you the link to I've sent people links to planning applications before. Ian, could you just tell us when the application was made? Thank you.
Yeah, just for some clarification here, there's some confusion there. There is no planning application involved in this particular situation. This is purely a license application.
license, yeah,
So
when
there's
the
there's a premises license. There is no planning.
So the I just would like to know when the planning application, just for fullness, because it was mentioned.
There isn't. No, that's a mistaken mention. There is no planning application in pursuant to this area.
Right, that's great.
Councillor Parrott, do you have any questions? Bear with me. Sorry, Rebecca, can you just confirm, do we have to go through our similar questions that we asked before, or can we just make assumptions because it's about the sort of same area?
No, this is a separate license application for a different area. So, and based on your questions will be based on what the person making the representation has said in this application.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, sorry, bear with me. Sorry, can I also just bring this up as well because we're really aware that the time is running on, and I'm aware that Councillor Parrott has got a train to catch. Just wondering if we can discuss the result of these applications. I know normally we go into a closed session at the end. Can we do this at a later time, like later today or tomorrow or something like that?
Well,
Yes, you need.
Sam will be on a train, won't she? So not.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but you can. The determination has to be made within 5 working days. So, but
Okay.
it's not great. But if
No.
it has to be done, it has to be done.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, bearing with me with my questions. I'm aware that we have to now ask the questions for it to be legal. I'm just trying to think what questions I want to ask. So let's go back to the leaflets. I know you were saying that you didn't have any leaflets in the last 2 years. I was just wondering if Ian can confirm that has why that would be so.
I can't confirm that. In previous years, what I can say is that the location of Fred's flat was included within the zone that we asked leaflets to be delivered. As I said in the previous hearing, it's clear that this isn't functioning as well as it could. So we are looking at ways in which we can take that delivery on, so we have better control and to ensure that takes place properly.
Okay, thank you. I think at this moment, I don't have any further questions for you at the moment, Fred. Thank you. I might think of something in a minute. Thank you. In that case, Ian, would you, as the applicant, like to give your representation?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll keep it brief because I'm aware that we're very short on time, and just to say that a large amount of what I stated in the previous a previous hearing stands. This is about us giving better conditions for residents. That's why these applications are in. That's why we're removing the previous regulations and imposing these. In terms of density of sound, we've limited it now to the hard standing, the area between the two hard standing spaces at the north end of these gardens, and have removed the long stretch of gardens, which means we're talking about a much smaller area, therefore much reduced levels of sound if there were to be activations there. I'd also like to note that we have given that we have some questions to answer around how we manage sound within the space, because as Fred points out, there is issues with the sound carrying very high up the hill. We have not put any activation there this May. So while this license is in application, we don't actually have any use for it currently. What we do want to do is make sure that we have the right licensing in place, so when the activations that have been requested by residents, for example, a regular market, that we have the licensing in place to facilitate that which the residents have requested. So I will leave it there, Chair, because I don't want to go over the ground we recently had. But like I say, there's no late hours, there's no extended hours in this space. We are treating this very much as a daytime activation space, unlike what we're seeing in the other two spaces.
Thank you, Ian. So can you just confirm, so the existing license that you currently have, you will return that if you get this new license?
Correct. Once this new suite of licenses is in place, we will get rid of the existing license. We'll wind it up.
Thank you. Any questions from the panel for Ian? None? Okay. Any questions from Fred?
I've written a few things down that came out of the last one, really, but I'm not 100% sure they now have really applied because of the hours that we've got on ours. But it's things like where Ian will be the license holder, but also the noise monitor and also the collector of complaints. And I struggle to find where the transparency is in that. And I urge you as councillors to see if this could be done differently, or the panel, I urge you to see how this could be done differently, so that the license holder is the license holder. And then other departments or other people are responsible for that. So there's some accountability of when it is. But when you're the holder of all, it becomes muddy. It's not clear. It's not fair. So that was one of the points I wanted to make. I think the other bits we've already done. I did want to point out that I look like, and it's awful, I look like I'm the only complainant out of 5 blocks with 46 flats in. But I do want to say that, and I've raised this over and over again, people don't know how to complain. I'm fortunate enough that I do. I had a stint with Brighton and Hove City Council, and I've worked for many other local authorities in my career. And I know where you can go into and find out information. But some lay people don't have computers. Some people don't have mobile phones. They're housebound. They don't have the technology. They don't know environmental health managers' noise. They don't know what to do. They might have never even met their housing officer or anything. They might have not have even had any interaction since they first got a set of keys to where they live. There isn't any clear guidance. You have a website, and I've been chipping away, Ian and his team, for a long time now, to give people the tools that they need, which is a detailed flyer of all the different departments that they can go into when they're affected. And you touched on police. The police are, I'm sorry, in this setup, a chocolate teapot when it comes to noise out of hours. So if you're not getting any help from the council, and you're the events manager or the team, whoever, aren't on site, the police don't want to know. The word joined up working with local authority does not exist when it comes to noise or nuisance that is the ownership of the local authority. It's contact your council the next morning. And as for reporting incidences to police, like Maya mentioned before, they won't consider that a 999. They will tell you to go online and do an incident, and we'll get back to you in 4 days' time. I appreciate you've got the My Voice platform, but I have very little faith in it, and I want to be optimistic that it's going to work, but right now my glass is half full in the other direction, because we've been given broken promises for so long, that I don't think things will change, and I feel for the to the north side of the church.
Thank you, Fred. Ian, would you like to respond?
Chair, only to say that the sole purpose of the engagement meetings will take place is to continue to listen to the needs of the residents, and that this entire process is based in responding to exactly that. We're making real advances in changing the way in which we use these spaces, and that is in direct response to having conversations with residents. And I look forward to reaching out to more residents and hopefully having more contacts that will give us more information, which means we can deliver better in the future.
Could you also just explain further on Fred's point about the different roles? Because I assume you don't have all these roles as one person. Could you just explain that a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, reports of noise nuisance are not from my department. That sits with environmental health, who are separate. What we're aware of is that they cannot be responsive out of hours. So we have created a portal whereby we can have a response in immediacy. While the license is in the council's name, it's the council that is the licensee, not myself. I am registered as DPS. When an event moves into the space, that DPS is handed over, so we sign that DPS across. So at that point, I no longer become the designated premises supervisor for that license. We then take that back at the end of the activation, so we do hand that responsibility on to the event organizer for the duration of their tenancy. And I think the third part was noise. We don't monitor noise. That's not a responsibility we have. We collect noise management plans from the organizer. We hand them to environmental health to ensure that they're compliant with the guidance. And then for an activation of the type we were talking about in the north, there would be a mandatory third-party independent noise monitoring service to be implemented. So no, effectively, when an event is live, I hold none of those three roles.
Thank you, Ian. I do actually have a question just to do with the generators that you use, because I know that in the past you used generators. Is this a new process now that you're moving to underground electrical mains?
Yeah, when the Valley Gardens were improved, as part of the intention for that space was for event use, which is why there is mains facilities installed throughout the space. Particularly at St. Peter's Square, there's 100 amps of three-phase mains. We mandate the use of that. So where that is sufficient, there are no generators in use. Where that's insufficient and more additional power is needed, then some additional generators may be in place.
But is that a new thing, so that the noise should be cut down in terms of generator use?
That has been the case since the Valley Gardens has been regenerated.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions for Ian? No.
Yes, I just have something to add, if I may.
Yeah.
And it's more of a suggestion, actually. You mentioned we don't have an out-of-hours noise service for the council. Why isn't this costed into events that you can add that layer in to add transparency during events, so that there isn't no fudgy, we don't take complaints? But I know I've complained to you many times into your department about events because you told me I could. But when I did take it to environmental health, I have to complete diary sheets, 2 weeks of diary sheets before they will even investigate. On a 28-day event, 14 days of that is gone just keeping a diary sheet. They know what the event's doing, but they still make me complete diary sheets. Then I post them back. Then they get round to me 10 days later to investigate. Happy days, event's over. We dodged a bullet there. That's the feeling I get. So why are we made to fill out diary sheets for events? Why isn't there a better turnaround? Why isn't there a different process in place from the local authority that protects us, so we don't get labelled a complainer? We get seen for what we really are, affected and impacted, and this service is going to look after you. So it's a layer in between the events and us. Why don't we have an out of hours?
That's a good question, but I'm not sure if Ian's able to answer that as events, but yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
I was told it was to do with
I can't
funding.
speak to staffing
No.
policies for environmental health. That's not
Yeah.
something I have.
Well, I think as a panel, you should go away and consider that why we don't have an out of hours noise through our events. And it's not
Thank
all
you, Fred.
managed by, it's not all managed by the events team then, is it? This is what I was trying to indicate. It's all not all managed in-house. You can't be the, you can't be the judge and
Yeah.
the jury. You need some clear division in managing noise outside in public open spaces.
Well, it would go to environmental services.
Yeah, and those are the people
Yeah.
that want me to fill out diary sheets for 2 weeks
Yeah.
for a 28-day event. You need to look at that process because it doesn't work for events. It might work for a barking dog or your neighbour playing loud music, but it doesn't work for outdoor events. You need to come up with something better that protects us rather than just all going into the events team.
Thank you, Fred.
It make Ian's life easier as well if there's a layer in between.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I've got lost. I do apologise. We've heard all our applicants. I think we are now at the stage where we can go straight to summaries if we don't have any further questions. Can I remind all parties that at this point you should not be introducing any new information that has not already been raised as part of your representation, and please can we be as succinct as possible. So we will start with Emily Fountain, please.
Sarah,
Hello,
please,
sorry, I'm Sarah. Hi, so you have heard
I
from all the
apologise,
parties.
Sarah.
That's all right, don't worry. You have heard from all the parties present for this application for a new premises licence for St Peter's Square. And Ian Baird, the events manager, has already confirmed that if these licences are granted, then the existing licence for Valley Gardens, etc., will be surrendered. So licensing guidance states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives in the overall interests of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations, including supporting information presented by all the parties, the guidance and its own statement of licensing policy. It is important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits, and after considering all the relevant issues, the licensing authority may grant the application subject to such conditions that have been agreed. If the panel decide to grant the application, then any conditions added to the licence to meet the licensing objectives should be clear, precise, enforceable, justifiable and capable of being met. Alternatively, the licensing authority may refuse the application or part of the application on the grounds that it is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and or is against our statement of licensing policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Fred, would you like to give your summary?
Yeah, for me, it's just having this open, honest transparency where things are very divided, where noise is noise and events are events, and that we are genuinely seen as people that are impacted by these events. And like I said in my opening, this isn't about not having events in the city. I understand that we need to have them, but it's the right ones in the right place and at the right time, where it doesn't impact lives and it doesn't affect people's well-being and mental health. And yeah, that's everything from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Ian, would you like to give your summary?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate the points previously, the reason we're here today is because we are engaging with residents and we're looking to make changes to ensure that what the activities that go on in the city strike that balance between a rich cultural life, healthy lifestyles and the protection of the green spaces that we have. This is part of a continuation of getting better and improvement, and I very much hope that this licence and the conditions that have been suggested along with it are in the eyes of the panel meeting that objective.
Thank you, Ian. We've now heard from all parties. I'm just wondering if we have any comments from our legal advisor, Rebecca Siddell.
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone. The panel will now retire to make its decision on the two applications. Please note that we will be accompanied by the legal advisor and the clerk to the panel, but they will take no part in the decision-making process. The decision will be sent in writing within five working days with appeal rights attached. Thank you all for attending. It's been a long one. Thank you for bearing with us. Bye.